So, I want you to picture a scenario for a minute.
Okay, let's hear it.
You have fully embraced the transition. I mean, you did your research, you finally made the switch, and you are officially the proud owner of a sleek, quiet, high-performance electric vehicle.
Right, living the dream.
Exactly. You love the instant torque, you love skipping the gas station, but right now you are definitely not marveling at the engineering because it is 2 a.m. and you are driving somewhere on the dark outskirts of Portland, Oregon.
Oh, wow. Not ideal.
No, and the Pacific Northwest rain is just coming down in absolute sheets. Your wipers are fighting a completely losing battle, and you just watch the battery indicator on your dashboard drop from 3% to 1% to a flashing 0.
Yeah, that is a nightmare.
You're coasting. You are completely stranded in the dark.
You know, it really strips away that illusion of control that we sort of take for granted with modern tech.
It really does.
I mean, when an internal combustion engine runs out of gas, it's basically an inconvenience.
Right.
But when a highly computerized EV runs out of power in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
it feels like this massive systemic failure.
Exactly. And welcome to this deep dive. Because our mission today is to pull back the curtain on the hidden realities of EV infrastructure, specifically out there in the Pacific Northwest.
It's a fascinating area to look at.
It really is, and we are going to explore this emerging solution to a problem that you might not even realize exists yet, which is mobile EV rescue.
Right.
So we are pulling insights today from a stack of sources that, on the surface, they're promotional rescue guides and service profiles from a company called Portland Mobile EV Charging. But we're obviously not just here to read a brochure.
No, definitely not. We're looking at these sources because the data points they highlight, they actually reveal a massive structural bottleneck.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is that they shine a light on the growing pains of this technological transition that's just happening incredibly fast.
Super fast.
Right. I mean, we are living through a moment where the rapid consumer adoption of electric vehicles is just vastly outpacing the physical, reliable infrastructure required to actually keep those cars moving.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the gap between the promise of EV ownership and the actual reality of driving one is wild.
It really is a huge gap.
When you buy the car, the assumption at the dealership is that finding a charge will be as, thoughtless as finding a gas pump. You just tap the map on your console, it routes you to a plug, and you're good.
Yeah, but that dashboard map kind of creates a false sense of security.
How so?
Well, the reality on the ground, which these sources actually characterize heavily as a work in progress for the Pacific Northwest, it's far more complicated. Drivers are frequently hitting what's known as the no-charger reality.
Right, the no-charger reality, which is when your navigation system swears there's a public charging station half a mile away, you pull into the lot and you find a completely dead piece of hardware. I really want to understand the mechanics of this failure, because the map says it's active. So why is it so common to arrive and find a broken plug?
It basically comes down to this messy mix of software fragmentation and physical vulnerability.
Okay.
So unlike the gas station model, which is entirely mechanical and, totally standardized, EV chargers require a complex digital handshake.
A handshake between the station and the car?
Right, between the station and your specific brand of car. And often that software handshake just fails.
Oh, wow.
And on top of that, these public stations are frequently unmanned. So they suffer from physical wear and tear and these really complex maintenance contracts where the property owner isn't actually the one responsible for fixing the charger.
That sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It is, and increasingly they're dealing with vandalism, like copper cable theft. The sources actually cite Vancouver specifically as an area where drivers frequently encounter just rows of functionally useless plugs.
Man. So even if you manage to find a station with working hardware, you're still completely at the mercy of human behavior.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Which brings us to the phenomenon of I-seeing. Now, I had seen this happen in parking lots, but I didn't realize how much of a hurdle it actually is for the infrastructure grid.
Yeah, for anyone unfamiliar, ICE stands for internal combustion engine. So I-seeing occurs when a traditional gas-powered vehicle just parks in a spot specifically designated for EV charging.
And sometimes it looks totally intentional, right? Like a giant truck blocking the spot out of spite. But honestly, a lot of times it just looks like a confused driver who saw an open spot at a crowded grocery store and took it.
Right, but the intent doesn't matter at all to the stranded EV driver.
True.
The result is that this multi-million-dollar infrastructure actually exists. It might even be functioning perfectly, but it is entirely inaccessible because there's a physical barrier in the way.
That is so frustrating. And then we have these highly specific, completely predictable dead zones.
Yes, the charging deserts.
Exactly. The materials point to the parking lots at Portland International Airport, PDX, describing them as a charging desert. And this is fascinating to me because you would assume an airport like a massive transit hub would be the ultimate place to charge.
You would think so, yeah.
Fly out for a week, you leave your car at 10%, and you just assume you can plug it in when you land.
But the complication with airports is the sheer scale of the electrical draw required.
Ah, okay.
Upgrading a massive, sprawling parking structure to support hundreds of high-voltage chargers requires the equivalent electrical capacity of a small town.
Wait, really? A small town?
Literally. Airports were designed for long-term vehicle storage, not massive energy distribution. So you end up with this severe bottleneck. You get back from a long flight, you're exhausted, and you find every limited plug is either broken or it's occupied by a car that finished charging 3 days ago.
It's like following your GPS to a highly rated diner only to arrive starving and find the building is boarded up or like a completely different business is parked in the driveway.
That is a perfect analogy.
But I do want to challenge this narrative for just a second because the apps that track charger status, they are constantly updating in real time now.
They are, yeah.
So is the infrastructure really failing that often, or is this just, a promotional rescue company playing on our absolute worst edge case anxieties? Like, are people genuinely getting stranded in the dark that much?
You'd actually be surprised by how frequently those real-time apps fail to account for a station that just went offline 10 minutes ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or a station that has a line of 6 cars waiting for a single plug. The apps don't always show that line. But what the sources accurately diagnose here is a fundamental shift in driver psychology.
Okay, what kind of shift?
Well, in the early days of electric vehicles, range anxiety meant worrying about the physical capacity of the battery. Did the car have enough energy to cover the physical distance?
Right, the classic, do I have enough juice to make it to the next town panic?
Exactly that. But modern batteries have largely solved that distance problem. The anxiety is mutated.
You mutated how?
Range anxiety has shifted from the fear of reaching the charger to the fear of trusting the charge.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
But will the software handshake fail? Will the cables be cut? Will a gas vehicle be blocking the spot? The psychological toll on the driver is huge because the safety net is suddenly perceived as totally unreliable.
Which brings us right back to our driver, sitting at 0% in the pouring rain on the shoulder of Interstate 5.
Right.
When the infrastructure safety net fails, human instinct kicks in. You grab your phone and you call a traditional tow truck. I mean, it is the exact way we have rescued stranded drivers for over a century.
It's muscle memory.
But according to these guides, doing that with an EV is a terrible idea. And here's where it gets really interesting. I mean, a catastrophic idea.
Oh, applying a 100-year-old rescue method to a modern electric drivetrain is a profound mechanical mismatch. The sources actually go so far as to describe traditional towing for an EV as a price and towing scam.
Okay, let's look at the financial penalty first, because the logic makes sense once you actually stop to think about it. If you run out of gas, a tow truck arrives with a plastic jerry can, pours in a few gallons, and you drive home.
Simple.
But a traditional tow truck cannot bring you high-voltage electricity.
No, they can't. Their only available solution is to physically drag your 2-ton vehicle onto a flatbed, haul it across the city to a dealership or a functioning supercharger, and just leave it there.
Wow.
And this hits the driver with a compounding financial penalty. You pay the exorbitant emergency towing fee, plus the eventual cost to actually charge the battery, plus the totally invisible cost of your lost time.
Right, because if it gets dropped at a dealership over a weekend, you might be without your car for days.
Exactly.
But the financial hit isn't even the craziest part of this. The sources state that standard tow trucks are physically unsafe for EVs. They specifically call out the engineering of brands like Tesla and Rivian.
Yeah, they do.
I read this and had to pause. Wait, you're telling me the traditional rescue method, the very thing designed to save a broken-down car, can actually destroy an electric vehicle?
It can absolutely destroy the vehicle, and it happens frequently.
Seriously?
Improper towing can fry the EV's drivetrain, it can lead to multi-thousand-dollar repair bills, and it instantly voids the manufacturer's warranty.
I'm having such a hard time wrapping my head around how simply pulling a car onto a truck can cause that much internal damage. That's like calling a plumber to fix a leak in your house, and their solution is to rip out your entire foundation.
Yeah.
I mean, the intention is to fix the problem, but the method entirely destroys the hardware. How does moving it break it?
If we connect this to the bigger picture to understand the damage, we really have to look at how EV motors interact with the wheels.
Okay.
In a traditional gas-powered car, you can just shift the transmission into neutral, right?
Yeah.
That mechanically disconnects the wheels from the engine. So a tow truck can lift the front of the car, drag it by the back wheels, and those back wheels just spin freely without affecting the engine.
Because the physical connection has been completely severed.
Exactly. But electric vehicles do not have a traditional transmission with a mechanical neutral gear. In an EV, the electric motors are directly and permanently linked to the wheels. They are physically integrated.
Okay, so if the wheels are turning, the motor is turning.
Always. Furthermore, EV motors use permanent magnets. When you drive, electricity from the battery spins the motor to turn the wheels.
Makes sense.
But when you take your foot off the accelerator, the momentum of the car keeps the wheels turning. Those turning wheels spin the motor. And an electric motor acting in reverse basically becomes a generator.
Oh, wow.
It creates electricity and sends it back to the battery. This is what's called regenerative braking.
Which is great when you are driving because it recharges the car while you slow down.
But imagine a traditional tow truck trying to drag an EV with its wheels on the ground, even for a short distance, just to line it up for a flatbed.
Oh, no.
Those spinning wheels forcefully turn the electric motors. The motors act as generators, creating massive amounts of electricity. But because the car is powered down and the battery management system is off, that generated power has nowhere safe to go.
So where does it go?
It surges backward through the system, completely frying the delicate inverters, the wiring harnesses, and potentially destroying the massive battery pack itself.
So the very act of dragging it to a charger literally electrocutes the car from the inside out.
Yes, the kinetic energy of the tow turns into unregulated electrical energy. And this is why the sources emphasize that protecting the drivetrain is paramount.
I see.
The solution offered by Portland Mobile EV Charging is designed to completely bypass the mechanical risks of towing entirely.
Right, because they bring the power directly to the driver on the spot.
Exactly.
They use these specialized mobile charging units that pull up behind the stranded EV. The car's wheels stay safely planted on the asphalt.
No dragging.
Right, no winches, no dragging, no flatbeds. They just plug it in on the side of the highway, deliver enough kilowatt hours to reach a reliable destination, and completely eliminate the risk to the drivetrain.
It really represents a massive paradigm shift in how we think about roadside assistance.
How so?
Well, legacy automotive rescue is built on the logic that when a vehicle is incapacitated, you must move the heavy vehicle to the stationary energy source.
Right.
Mobile EV rescue flips that fundamental logic.
Yeah.
It recognizes that in the electric era, it is infinitely safer, faster, and cheaper to move the energy to the vehicle.
Which opens up a huge conversation about the economic impact of all this.
Yep.
Because, we've covered the personal safety issues of being stranded in the dark, and we've walked through the mechanical nightmare of frying a drivetrain.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for people who aren't just commuting? What about the people who drive for a living?
This is arguably the most critical dimension of the infrastructure bottleneck.
Okay.
Because for the average commuter, a dead battery is a highly stressful inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
But for a commercial fleet or a gig economy worker, a dead battery is a direct and immediate loss of livelihood. The economic ripple effects are just massive.
The sources lean heavily into this. They discuss Portland businesses that are trying to manage local fleets of electric delivery vans, and the key metric they focus on is commercial uptime.
Uptime is everything for fleets.
Exactly. If a bakery's electric delivery van is stranded on a route, every single minute that van sits idle waiting for a flatbed tow is lost revenue.
The bread is literally going stale.
The bread goes stale, the driver's being paid to sit on the curb, the customers are angry, and the company is just bleeding money.
A single broken link disrupts the entire local supply chain. And honestly, the margin for error is arguably even smaller for independent rideshare drivers.
Yeah.
The service profiles directly address Uber and Lyft drivers operating in the Portland and Vancouver areas. The reality of the gig economy is pretty brutal. If your wheels aren't turning, you are losing money. A dead battery shouldn't have to end a shift.
It makes you wonder how sustainable it actually is to drive an EV for a living right now, battling the infrastructure constantly. Think about the psychological pressure on an Uber driver.
Oh, it must be intense.
It's Friday night, surge pricing is hitting downtown Portland, but your dashboard says you only have 10% battery left. You have to make a choice.
Right.
Do you risk getting stranded to catch the surge, or do you pause your shift, navigate to some suburban supercharger, hope the software handshake works, hope you don't get ice-y'd by a pickup truck, and then just sit there for 45 minutes?
It completely breaks the flow of the job. You're hunting for open superchargers instead of picking up fares.
It's like a line cook having to clock out right in the middle of the dinner rush just to go buy their own pots and pans. It's just an absurd inefficiency.
And that bottleneck is exactly where B2B business-to-business mobile charging steps in. The mobile service positions itself as a tactical advantage for these professional drivers.
It's a secret weapon.
Basically, yeah. Instead of the driver hunting for the infrastructure is dispatched to the driver.
So the gig worker can just pull over to eat a sandwich, jump on portlandmobileleafcharging.com, or, call the 503 number, and a specialized van arrives to charge their car while they take a mandatory break.
This raises an important question about how we value time, because it totally changes the economic equation. Maximum uptime, minimum cost. A low battery no longer has to be a shift-ending event.
It untethers the energy from a specific geographic location.
That is the crucial insight. We are witnessing the dawn of on-demand energy logistics. Historically, commercial fleets viewed downtime for fueling or charging as a necessary evil.
Right, you build your routes around the stations.
You build your delivery routes around where the gas stations or the charging hubs are located. But mobile charging shifts that paradigm entirely. It proves that downtime can actually be engineered out of the system.
Because the mobile charger acts as a fluid, moving piece of the supply chain. If a delivery fleet manager knows they have a 247 mobile charging backup rolling around the city, they can push the limits of their fleet much further.
Exactly.
They don't have to route their vans back to a central depot in the middle of the day just to top off the batteries.
It removes the friction of that no-charger reality from the commercial sector. The energy is delivered exactly where it is needed, exactly when it is needed.
Bringing this all together for you listening right now, whether you are driving a brand new Rivian or you manage a local fleet of electric delivery vans, or maybe you are simply fascinated by how our cities are forced to adapt to these rapid technological shifts, this deep dive proves a fundamental point.
Which is?
The transition to electric vehicles is about so much more than building better cars.
Well, the vehicle is only half the equation.
It is about entirely reinventing the invisible safety nets that keep our society moving. A century of legacy automotive infrastructure, the sprawling gas stations, the heavy-duty tow trucks with their winches and flatbeds, that entire system does not map cleanly onto our electric future.
Not at all.
It is going to take highly specialized adaptive services like mobile charging that keeps the wheels safely on the ground without the risk of a tow to bridge that massive gap between the sleek technology we're buying and the broken infrastructure we actually have to drive on.
I want to leave you with a thought to mull over. Building on that idea of bridging the gap.
Go for it.
We have discussed how incredibly efficient it is to bring the power directly to the car for emergency rescues, for stranded drivers in the rain, and for commercial delivery fleets trying to maximize their uptime.
Yeah.
But what if this isn't just a clever band-aid for a temporary infrastructure problem? What if this model is actually a preview of the ultimate long-term future of how we power our cities?
In what sense? What do you mean?
Think about the massive real estate costs, the grid limitations, and the maintenance nightmares required to build traditional stationary charging hubs. They get vandalized, they get blocked by gas vehicles, they suffer software failures. Right. What if the gas station of the future isn't a physical place you drive to at all? What if, 20 years from now, the primary way we charge our vehicles is through a decentralized, autonomous fleet of mobile batteries?
Oh, wow.
You could simply park your car anywhere, at your office, in your driveway, at the grocery store, and the infrastructure quietly navigates to you.
A roving, decentralized grid of energy that just finds your car while you go about your life. That is a really wild vision of the future to think about. But until that autonomous fleet arrives, it is very good to know that if you ever do find yourself sitting in a dark car at 2 a.m. on the outskirts of Portland, listening to the rain hammer against the windshield while your dashboard blinks 0, you don't have to call a flatbed tow truck and pray your drivetrain survives the trip.
No, you don't.
There is a much smarter way out of the dark. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.